Welcome back, everybody. It is another great Saturday. This is Justin with Parity InfoSec. Today we're going to be looking at the newest retirement from HackTheBox, Knife. Knife is one of the easy, I might even say one of the easiest boxes I've ever done once you get past the enumeration. So we're going to talk about it a little bit here, but tools you're going to be needing are pretty basic. They're going to be Browser and BurpSuite. There's going to be some console work, and ultimately you're going to need to use Knife, which is one of the binaries, but we'll talk about that because the first thing you've got to get to is the exploit. The exploit, if you poke around, there will be a website. It's a little bit tricky to find anything, but if you're really paying attention, this is a lesson in checking everything when you're starting to send packets to and from a destination. And this one, we're going to catch something in the header talking about the version of PHP that's being used. And it was unfortunately the subject of a supply chain attack. Somebody was able to tamper with the code and made it vulnerable to a pretty simple command, inject, and we're going to show you how to do that. And with that, you'll get a shell on the box, and a simple sudo permission is going to allow you to use GTFObins. There's a script for Knife to allow you to get a root shell. Pretty simple, not too bad, so we'll go ahead and get this started. As always, we're going to run an Nmap, so Nmap, and it's 10.10.10.242. We'll start with that for right now. That one comes back pretty quick, 22 and 80. So we'll just check to make sure all scripts, all versions for port 80. I just want to see if there's any additional information before we get started. Because this is one of those enumeration steps I kind of have gotten really easy about, and I've cut through them a lot in these videos, but sometimes you got to see some of the information that's here. So we're expecting a website. It's going to be running Apache 2441, and it's Emergent Medical Idea is going to be the title of the website. So let's go take a look. I believe my proxy is still on, so turn intercept off and go to the same website, 10.10.10.242. And this is that Emergent Medical Idea. At EMA, we're taking care of our patients and all that stuff, taking care of our hospitals. If you mouse over, you're looking for any kind of links. No links are working. Let's view selection source. And it just says MSO. Doesn't really tell anything. Let me go back and say view all source. There we go. So with all the page source, here's your CSS setting up the scripting for the page. Sometimes you'll want to look for these JS, these JavaScript files, to see if there's anything funny or different about them. All the information here looks fairly standard. And this is just the procedure for the different word manipulation that's on that front page. And then you want to look for any of these comment blocks. So here we've got, it says go, it's pen.js, but it's just giving a little bit of context. So clear the previous transition, make a new transition. This is just building that text that's on the front page. Nothing crazy, that is it. Robots.txt. Got nothing from that, so safe to say we haven't found anything. At this point in my transition, I went ahead and jumped right into GoBuster, DirBuster and started looking for stuff, but I didn't find anything. So it's really, I don't know, it feels really sketch when you can't find anything. So I really had to dig into each one of the requests that I made. So here is 10.10.10.242. It's my GET request to the Emergent Medical Idea. Came back. It's not running TLS. Here's all the information I sent it. Here's everything I got back. We've already looked through all this script as we asked that question. Here's all the different comment blocks. So let's go back up to the top. And we know it's running Apache 2441. So you can just say exploit Apache 2.4.41. So there is a little bit of one here from 240 to 2441 that is available for a mod rewrite if it's turned on. And it looks like that might have been a factor in the box blunder, but it came up just as a 2441 in that box, and it seems to be a pretty decent version. You've got a little bit here on the CVE 2020-13-950. So you can poke through these. There's not going to be anything in here. So we'll keep going down. And the next line is this PHP 8.1.0-dev. This was something that came up on a few of the HackTheBox machines a while back. Haven't seen it in a bit, so we'll go ahead and take a look at this. And it comes up right away. There's remote code execution backdoor. So if you look at this article, it's going to talk about in March of 2021, there was a backdoor that was inserted, and then they removed it. So it was caught pretty quick. But the original backdoor was tampered code and then allowed somebody to just come in and breach any site that's running this. They gave a couple different references here, but this is a backdoor PHP dev script that was built, and then you just typed it in and it gave you a shell. Super easy. So if you want, this is available. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to show you the handwritten version based on this exploit DB. And again, this is all Python code. We're going to go ahead and do it from inside of BurpSuite. It's always a nice function for me to show the repeater. So this is the message that we sent, and this is what we got back. I'm going to send this over to my repeater with a Control R. You see it lit up orange, and then we're just going to do a Control Shift R, switch over to repeater. Now, every time we send a request, you're going to see the response here. Usually it's side by side. This version went to a top bottom. If you need to change that, it's right here for just a horizontal layout. That's usually my preference, just based on how I've learned to use BurpSuite. So really this will go back and forth, but the main portion of this is this user agent. So it's written where user agent will be your normal user agent, but if you add user agent with 2 T's, and then you say zerodium system, and then you give it a command, it will then run that command and then exit out in this case. So if it's doing that and it gets a response, you'll get a shell. I'll go ahead and pull the information from here out to here along with the semicolon, and we will bring it over to BurpSuite. Let's play around with it. So the user agent is up here. I'm going to go ahead and put it down here at the bottom because it really doesn't matter. And we will take all this out because we're just going to hand write it in here. Who am I? And I sent it off. Got stuck. I actually have these quotation marks that need to go away. And cancel this. We'll send it. And it may still not like this because I think that's from the PHP code. Oddly enough, it does need that, but I think our issue we're running into might be double quotes versus single quotes. Okay, we had a timeout. Nope, I don't want to do that. Go ahead and send. And if we're still having a problem, we can make sure that we have 2 lines down here. Cancel, send, and that was my issue. So I've had that problem in the past. Make sure that you have that extra line down there. If we had injected it up higher, it wouldn't have been a problem. But you see right away it says James at the top. Still has all the information. If you come over here and you say request show response in browser, just go ahead and copy this. Come back to your browser. Seem to be having an unresponsive system tonight. And it takes me to this page. If I say view page source, it is up here at the top. So now we're getting code execution. Let's go ahead and come back to the system and we can play around a little bit. And it's simple. Host name, send. Host name is knife. What happens if I do an ls? So ls works. we see that it's showing that we're in this. If we say pwd for current working directory, it just says we're sitting in the /root, so that's good. You can always do this by hand and say /home, and we'll do an ls. ls and home says there's only one user, that's James. If I say show me what's inside of James's home directory, you're going to see there's a user.txt. If I say cat home James user.txt, there's our user.txt. So that's kind of the way of going about it, but it's really cumbersome to go back and forth, send, when you could just be in a prompt. And the best way to do that, for me, come out here and make a request for reverse shells. And payload all the things cheat sheet. Come over here, and it's got a bunch on here. When you're working with some of these systems, you can do a bash tac e, sometimes you can't. So running some of these might be your best bet in those situations because you're really never sure how it's going to function. So let's go ahead and try a couple of these. In order to be ready for that, we're going to go ahead and clear the screen and just do a nc ndlp, and then I'm going to do port 7777. All right, so it's listening on 7777. I have highlighted and said I want to use this one, which is a bash interactive shell, and everything's going to be forwarded to the pipe for dev TCP. I'm going to put in my IP and the 7777. We can do all of that inside of BurpSuite right here. I'll go ahead and paste that in. We know this is 7777. I don't believe that I pulled my IP yet, so I'll just go ahead and start a new IPA, and it is 10.10.14.2. 10.10.14.2 for tonight. We'll go ahead and send this, see what happens. Ran really fast, nothing happened. So there's probably an error there. It happened so fast it didn't even try to process it. That one's not going to work. Usually you can try to step it through here. Most of them, if this doesn't work, the other ones won't work. 9 times out of 10. We know that they have Python, but one of the things you're going to run into here is the different escapes that you're going to need to stay out of the doubles and the singles and the doubles and the singles. So is there any other way that we can do this? We've got PHP. We can try the netcat. This is everybody's favorite. Netcat, tac E. So I'll go ahead and just drop this in here, and then we'll back it up. IP. All right, so netcat, we're going to ask it to run the executable of bin bash, and then it's going to be our IP in our port. Again, it was super fast, and nothing happened. We'll keep going down the line. So in the event that you don't have a working netcat, you can always go through some of these other options of FIFO shells. I think those are the majority of them right there. There's one for OpenBSD, one for BusyBox. I believe they're close to the same. So this one runs make FIFO tempf. This one's tempfp. We're not sure, so I usually go with the most basic one first. Again, I'll paste that in there. And we'll delete this. 10.10.14.2 7777. So we're gonna remove any existing temp pipe marked as F, and then we're going to make a new pipe as temp F. We're going to cat temp F into bin sh interactive, pipe everything over to this netcat, and then everything coming out is going to come right back into the temp F. We hit send, it does hang that time. If we come over here, it didn't make our shell. It's just kind of hanging. Let's make sure that we got all this code right. We'll just have to come back in here, but we do know that this is user bin bash. So we will use that when we try again. Copy this. And we'll make sure to change this executable to /user/bin bash. That way we can do a direct reference to it. And again, we'll change this to 10.10 14.2 7777. Take another shot at it. It's hanging. Now we have our James shell. Kind of annoying. Just those intricate issues where you're not sure if it's right, wrong, whatever. But when you go back in and you make a request to a normal executable and just look at the display in the PHP and it works, you know that there's just a little bit something wrong with your shell or your reverse shell code. Now we got this. Who am I? IPA, I can see 10.10.242. CD, home directory, ls, cat user.txt. Nice. So we have that box, we're in the box. Now what do we do? You can run through linps and all those other tools, or you can just kind of go through some basic stuff. I like to look and see what's inside of here. There's been a lot of this lately for almost a year now where none of the bash history exists. It's too much of an easy cheat. There is SSH keys, and that's about it for helpfulness. That's not going to be any good. I did say if you go to cd home lslia, just make sure that is the only directory in there. cd / lslia. Nothing looks weird. If I want to go into root, obviously I can't do that. We can try and just do, in this case, a sudo l. And without telling it a password, it went ahead and said, okay, this is what you can do. No password. User James may run the following command on HackTheBox. It's root, no password, user bin knife. I had never seen knife for this one, so you can just do a man. There's no man. You can say knife, oops, knife tac h. So there's a little bit of a help. And you can go through and see that it allows you to run a whole bunch of commands, whole bunch. The point of this is to allow you to talk to a chef server, chef IO workstation knife. You talk to a report, you can disable all this stuff, you can run an environment. That's handy, okay. Environment being flagrantly ignored, not annoyed. And then here's all the allow subcommands, Azure, client, configure, data. Here's environment, so you can create, delete, edit. You can run an executable, so knife. And then you can execute a script. That could be interesting. And that's most of what we're going to see here in this box. Now you can play around with it and try and figure it out, knowing that you can execute something. If I said sudo knife execute who am I? No. So it doesn't know it because it's looking for a script. So it's not found in the current directory or a script path. I'll give you the secret to this one. GTFObins. It's going to be on GitHub, And this kind of sits in that same world as PayloadsAllTheThings. It is your handy dandy toolbox for things. And it says if you have shell or if you have sudo, you can run knife to get access. They're kind of the same. This one allows you to run it. This one is if you have sudo, you can run it and get access as the root. And this is simply executing. So what we were doing before, but now it's going to say execute an environment. And that environment is execute a bin shell. So it's kind of nested in itself. Knowing that we're not running the most complete shell, I'm going to go ahead and copy it to there, paste it in. And we know that this is user bin bash. Close it out. All right. I just want to make sure we get this right. Bash double single, and we go ahead and run this. Running as root, it doesn't do anything. So if I say ID, it does show that we have just a weak shell that still shoots everything out. So I am root. Who am I? Root. So if I go to cd root, doesn't show it, lslia. We are sitting inside of root, and I can just do cat root.txt, and there's your root text. Like I said, this box isn't too bad, but you had to know what to look for. You had to know to look at the headers for the web request and the response, and then you had to know, okay, I need to check the sudo file to look to see what I can sudo as, which is a fairly common thing. And then you just had to know where to find the tricks and the tools of how to use that quickly. This box was originally, root blood was in 19 minutes. The user blood was in like 13 minutes, super fast. You have 15,000 users that already got this box. So more than likely, most people have already accomplished this box, but if you haven't, it's a nice box to get started with and get comfortable with some of the tricks and techniques. We can see at this point that there is an SSH. So if I do cd SSH and I do ls, there's authorized keys. It is a file, there's nothing in it. Since we're already here, I'm going to go ahead and make a new, and we'll just cat. We'll go to mine.ssh. I'm going to look at id underscore rsa.pub. And that's going to be my public key. If I go here and copy all this, come back to this window, and I just echo all this, and I'm going to add it into authorized underscore keys, and then I say cat auth star. Since I'm already in here, you can see that my key is sitting inside this file. You can see originally it was a 0 file size. If I say lslia, that's working. So I can open a new window, and I can just do an SSH to root at 10.10.10.242, and then I can say use my key, so ID all. It's weird, usually it fills itself in. Say yes, go ahead and let me in the box, and now I am at a full shell as root. Who am I? Root knife, ID, hostname. So that gives you just the better access. And in the event that you're trying to use these kind of techniques, if you're doing OSCP or the PWK as it is now, moving on into this OSC3 certification, it's important that if you can upgrade your shell, to go ahead and upgrade your shell. It's going to be a little bit easier to move around and maneuver. So just keep that in mind. But for the most part, like I said, super easy box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I do want to throw out a thanks to Mr. Knight. Did a great job. And I really hope that you guys continue watching these videos and enjoying what I do. And we're going to be in and out over the next couple weeks, but I'd really like to get around to that reverse engineering box I've told people about. And I hope to do that soon once I get some of the other projects on my table cleared off. But for right now, I say thanks a lot. Hope to see you guys again soon. Later.